it's the Southern Girl, Shantae Levette, and on today's Tutorial Tuesday, I'm going to be sharing with you how to make beautiful pillows. Yay! I have been so excited about doing this video. It's definitely been a requested video. I have to give a shout out to one of my first subscribers who wanted to see this tutorial, and that is Granny Fields. Thank you so much for your support. This video is dedicated to you. Beautiful pillows are an easy way to transform the look of your home and to bring some drama to your space. So let's go ahead and get started.
Well, hey guys, here are your project stats. And the supplies you will need will be a sewing machine, beautiful fabric, an iron, a down pillow form or pillow stuffing, a right angle, a yardstick, a soft measuring tape, a tape measurer, cording, zipper, sewing machine needles. I prefer denim needles, they sew through all layers, presser and zipper foot, corner pusher, a seam ripper, a fabric marking pencil or chalk, stick pins, coordinating thread, pair of scissors. So here's my nice beautiful pattern fabric that I'm going to be making 4 pillows out of. You first want to determine how large your repeat is and also what's going to be the center of your pillow. My pillows are going to be 18 inches each. So let's measure how far apart the repeat is, and also let's measure how far apart the center of your pillow will be. My fabric repeat is 28 inches. So I will lose about 10 inches of fabric per cut to have all identical pillows, both on the front side and on the back side. But we'll still use the excess. Once you've determined how large your repeat is, now I want to go ahead and start pinning off my square. And as I pin, I'm going to leave about a ½ inch for a seam allowance. I'm going to place 4 marking pins, 1 on each side, keeping my desired pattern in the center. Now this is when a right angle will come in handy because I'm creating a square. What I'm going to do is take my right angle and mark all sides. And using my right angle, I'm going to connect my marking stick pins, still allowing for my seam allowance. Once you have your square marked, you can do this with a yardstick or a ruler, but a right angle is really handy. It keeps your pattern nice and square. Once you have your square chalked out, let's go ahead and cut the pattern out. Now that I have established what's going to be the front and the back of my pillows, I'm going to now match up my pattern. And I do this by actually just sliding the fabric around until it is a perfect match. Once I have established that this is the exact pattern repeat, I'll take my yardstick, I'll lay it on the edge of the fabric, and I'm just going to mark out that same square. I'm going to do that for all 4 sides, and I'm going to cut that pattern out as well. And I'm going to do this 8 times. That's going to be for the front and also for the back. So when you get done, your fabric should look something like this. It took me 3 yards of fabric to create all of my 8 fronts and backs. Now let me show you how to create the back zipper flap portion. This is going to consist of 2 pieces of fabric. I'm going to make a fold, and actually what I'm doing is making a lip that's actually going to cover your zipper. And the same way that we match the pattern, we're going to match the pattern again. I allow the fabric to dictate where I've actually placed my fold. My lip will be a 1-inch hangover to hide the zipper. Lining up our center marker or our center design again. Using my right angle, I'm going to allow enough for my seam allowance, and I'm actually going to mark my pillow as if it's still in a square. So let's go ahead and cut out that second piece of the zipper flap. This is actually the back side of your pillow, and it should look something like this. So now in total, my 2 pieces will still add up to create my 18-inch square. Be sure to cut all pieces needed for your front and your back side before cutting cording, because you don't want to run short. Let's go ahead and make the self-cording, and I'm going to use the scrap pieces of the fabric to do this. This is how I determine how much fabric you need for your cording. No matter what the size of your cording, this method will work. Take a piece of fabric wide enough to cover cording. Fold fabric over cording, leaving a 1/2 inch past cording for seam allowance. Unfold and measure a 1/2 inch plus a 1/2 inch plus cording. My strip widths will be 2 inches wide. This is how you determine how much cording you will need to make for each pillow. My fabric was not cheap, so I'm using the excess to create cording on the straight. I will show you in another video how to make cording on the bias, but in a pinch, you can do it on the straight. Now, using your excessive fabric, you can measure your fabric strip widths. So cut your first strip, and you can use that to pattern the additional strips needed for your cording. On the corner of your first strip, I'm going to take my yardstick and angle it at a 45-degree angle. And let's cut that piece out. I'm going to take that piece and actually flip it down where the face is down. Let's lay it on top of your other strip or another cut strip. And using that strip, we're going to create what I call the flat bottom V. And you'll be able to take a finger and actually flip that strip over, and it should create one piece. Repeat this step for all strips. Let's pin in the direction that you're going to sew, where your pin will be easily removed. By creating the flat bottom V for your continuous fabric strips, it helps with the flexibility when working with your cording when done on the straight. Now let's sew all the strips together. I'm using my presser foot. Let's go ahead and press out that seam, and it should look something like that. Now at this point, we're going to change out our foot and put on the zipper foot. They do have cording feet, but I'm from the old school. You want to seat your cording filler in the middle of your fabric strips. You want to get right as close to your cording as possible without sticking it. Cording just takes practice. I've stuck many a finger, but I still have all 10. And as I'm sewing the cording, I'm giving a gentle tug at the top, and I'm giving a tug at the bottom or the back side to keep it nice and tight, while keeping my cording filler in the center of my fabric strips. And there we have it, your cording. Let's move on to the zipper. First of all, let's go ahead and unzip the zipper. We're going to take the 2 pieces for our zipper for our back side of our pillow, and you're going to place that zipper face down, so the face part of the zipper is going to be facing the face part of the fabric, and we're going to go ahead and pin that side down. Now, pinning in the direction that you're going to sew, we're going to do that for the smaller side of the 2-piece flap. If you have a salvage edge like me that's white, that comes on the end of some fabrics, make sure when you pin down your zipper, it's over far enough that the white does not show in the zipper placement. Your zipper should look something like this, and your flap should overlay about 1 inch. Now on your zipper, on all zippers, there's a slight demarcation or a well that you can sew right next to the teeth. I do not sew my zippers in fast. This is definitely a process because you want your zipper in place and nice and tight. So take your time. And there we have it. Now let's check our zipper to make sure that no teeth are caught in our stitch line and that the zipper opens and closes properly. With your zipper still in closed position, let's take our second portion of our flap, making sure that you have at least 1 inch of zipper flap coverage. Matching it up with our second piece of fabric, and let's go ahead and iron that flap into place. Okay, let's go ahead and get a nice good crease so that you don't lose your position. Now let's pin the 2 pieces into position. I'm going to put 3 stay pins into the fabric. 1 at the top, 1 in the middle, and 1 at the bottom. Now let's flip our fabric over and let's go ahead and pin the second side of the zipper down, pinning in the direction that you're going to be sewing in, and your pins are easily removed. Now let's flip the fabric back over and remove those stay stick pins. Now let's unzip the zipper, and there you have it. Your zipper will now be in perfect position. Let's move on to attaching our cording. Let's find the center of your future pillow. I'm actually making my pillows 17 inches. My pillow form is a down form. It is 18 inches, and I typically make them 1 inch smaller so that they are nice and full. So we're going to pin the top and the bottom and now the sides at exactly 17 inches apart. Now we're going to start the cording at the bottom of your pillow. And I usually do it where it starts in the center. Lining up the stitch line of your cording, place it directly above your marking stick pin. Let's add another pin right along the stitch line of the cording. And where your next stay pin on the side lines up with your cording, let's make that first cut. Making about 5 to 6 cuts that stop short of your stitch line. This is to ensure that when you turn the corner with your cording, your pillow is going to line up at your desired width, and mine is the 17 inches. And by doing that, this allows you to have a nice, crisp 90-degree angle for each corner. Once the 90-degree corner is created, place 1 stick pin on the leading edge of the cording, just above the turn, to hold it into place. Now flipping your pillow around, and now let's go ahead and pin the other side. The next stay stick pin, we still want to line it right up at 17 inches, whatever your desired size is. Now let's go ahead and measure. My stitch line is at 17. I'm going to make my next cut line at 17. I'm going to go ahead and cut in 5 slits. That's usually enough to give that cording some flexibility. And again, I'm able to turn the corner and create that nice crisp 90-degree turn for each corner of my pillow. Do that for the other 2 sides. Now let's jump down to the bottom. I was moving so fast I took the stitches out before I knew it, but you want to backtrack on some of your stitches. If your cording is longer than mine, just go ahead and trim it back. Trim it back after you first measure. You only need maybe about 2 to 3 inches of overlap. You want to open up one side of your cording and cut the filler to where the 2 tips meet and touch, like so. Now you're going to have a raw edge. You want to take that edge and you're going to fold it over because you don't want that exposed. Let's put a stay pin, and that's how you end your cording. Now I always start with my closure behind my zipper foot, because if I have to make any adjustments, I'm able to. Let's go ahead and stitch as close as we can to the cording. And when you get to the corners, you want to leave your needle buried, lift your foot, and rotate your fabric. Just kind of press that cording down so that you can be right close to the corner. Again, you want to sew as close to the cording as possible. Again, when you get to the corners, leaving the needle buried in the fabric, lift your presser foot up. You're going to sew around all 4 sides, doing the same manner to each corner, and keeping your fabric straight is very important. So when you get to your closure, you want to go over that and make sure that nothing is folded back. You can roll over that pretty slow, but back stitch, and now you have one side of your pillow complete. Let's go ahead and finish the second side of the zipper. Again, sewing within that demarcation on your zipper. It's nice and close to the teeth, but not on the teeth. It's okay if your zipper is a little long. Once we attach both sides, then you can shorten your zipper. Let's go ahead and check it and make sure that everything is working well and the flap is in place. Now, upon assembling the two pieces or the two sides, you want to make sure that you are still lining your fabric or matching your pattern before you sew everything down. You want to continue to match your pattern on all four sides as you pin. Let's go ahead and open up the zipper slightly because you want to be able to get into your pillow to turn it inside out once everything is sewn down. Again, I'm checking all sides to make sure that the pattern is matching up, and as I flip around, I'm checking the sides. Sometimes you have to make a few adjustments, but you know, it's well worth it to make all the adjustments so that when your pillow is done, everything is lining up properly. Let's go ahead and pin in the direction that you're going to be able to easily remove your stick pins. Now guys, at this point, I like for my pillow to be nice and clean on the inside. You can go ahead and cut down this extra fabric that's on either side of your zipper. I do have a serger that I absolutely adore my serger. And so I'm going to go ahead and clean those edges up and get rid of that excessive fabric. But if you don't have a serger, again, you can just cut it down with your scissors. So it makes it for a nice clean finish edge inside your pillow. So now that you have that area cleaned up, let's go ahead and stitch the pillow together. Notice I'm sewing with my zipper behind my sewing foot. Let's get nice and close to our cording. And guys, I have to say, this is really done a lot by feel. You want to be as close to your cording as possible without sticking it. And once you get to the corners, you want to definitely bury the needle again. Same way that you did the cording. Lift your foot up. Don't forget to put your foot back down and get nice and tight to those corners and down the edge of the cording. Again, this is not a fast process, but of course, after you do things with practice, you will get faster. And when you get to the zipper ends, you want to make sure that all pieces are laying down nice and flat. You don't want anything flipped up on you. And remember, I said if your zipper is too long, right here is where you'll end up trimming it off anyway. And just make sure that you back stitch over that zipper to make sure it's in place. Let's go ahead and finish up the other sides, sewing still nice and close to the cording and removing your pins in the direction that you're sewing. Once you get to the other side, again, just make sure that your fabric is laying down flat and your foot is riding over the pieces. And this is when that denim needle comes in handy. And also notice that my zipper is still very close together and not gapped open as I sew over the pieces. You want your zipper to be inside of the cording and touching the face of the pillow. See? Let's finish that up, do some back stitching, and we're almost there. Now at this point, you can cut all the excess off down to 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, whatever suits your fancy. But of course, guys, since I have my beautiful serger, I'm going to clean up all of my edges. The only thing that I can say is if you can invest in a serger, it's definitely a wonderful machine to have in your arsenal if you're going to be doing a lot of sewing. It keeps everything nice and clean and looking very professional. Keeping that zipper open comes in handy because it takes a little effort, but once you get it going, it'll open right on up for you. Let's go ahead and turn our pillow inside out, pushing the corners out as much as you can with your hands. Now this is when your corner pusher comes in handy. Guys, I used to do this with a pair of scissors, but you all know what happened in the end. So I went out and got me a corner pusher because I bust through some fabric. Now let's go ahead and stuff our pillow cover. By folding your pillow a little, it allows you to get your pillow in there a lot easier. If you don't have an actual form, you can, and you're going to use just feel, I suggest zipping your zipper up more than halfway so that you can stuff it with ease. Now let's put that zipper to the test. And if you're like me, I love down fills. Let's go ahead and beat it out a little bit and make sure that it's in all of the corners. Smush it around a little bit to activate the feathers. Let's do a little bit of inspection. And if you have any pieces of thread hanging, let's go ahead and clean all of that up. And hey y'all, here you go, a beautiful pillow.
I absolutely adore beautiful pillows. They are such an easy way to bring pizzazz to your home. And if you're willing to invest in some really great inserts, you can create your own custom pillows with zippers that you can change out anytime that you're ready for a new look. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a thumbs up. Of course, leave your questions or comments, and always remember to subscribe.